Imagine two people standing in the same storm. They make the same salary. They have the same debt. They have the same extra $600 every month. One person grabs a shovel and starts digging out of the hole. The other plants seeds and says, "If I wait long enough, these will grow into a forest." Both sound smart. Both sound logical. And both think the other person is making a huge mistake. But here's the strange part. 10 years later, the person who ignored investing for almost 3 years might actually end up wealthier. Not because the math was wrong, but because real life got involved. Because spreadsheets are calm. Humans are not. And when you finally count the interest, the behavior, the fear, the missed months, and the mental pressure, the answer becomes a lot less obvious than the internet makes it sound. Hey, I'm Elon. And on this channel, we talk about money in a way that actually makes sense. No fake guru talk. No magical shortcuts. No one weird trick nonsense. Just the truth, explained simply. Today, we're breaking down one of the biggest money arguments on the internet. Should you pay off debt first? Or should you invest while carrying debt? One side says, destroy the debt. Kill it fast. Free yourself. The other side says, invest early. Let compounding work. Don't waste time. And both sides have a point. But only one side usually understands human behavior. So today, we're going to stop arguing like people on social media and start counting like people whose future actually depends on this. Let's make this fair. Imagine two people. We'll call them both Elon. They are both 28 years old. They both earn $55,000 a year. They both have the exact same debt. $22,000 in student loans at 5.5%, $14,000 left on a car loan at 7%, $6,000 on a credit card at 22%, that is $42,000 total debt. After rent, groceries, insurance, minimum payments, and normal life expenses, each person has $600 a month left over. Same age. Same debt. Same paycheck. Same extra money. Now the paths split. The first Elon says, I'm going to kill this debt as fast as possible. The second Elon says, I'm going to make minimum payments and invest the extra $600. That is the whole debate. One person attacks the fire. The other person tries to build the future while the fire is still burning. So which one actually wins? To answer that, we have to go deeper than internet slogans. At first, the investing path looks better. That's important to understand. The second Elon takes the extra $600 every month and puts it into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. And after a while, it starts to feel good. The account grows. The numbers move. The future seems to be waking up. After 2 years, the portfolio may be somewhere around $16,000 or even more depending on market returns. That feels exciting. It feels productive. It feels like progress you can see. Meanwhile, the first Elon is doing something much less fun. No investing. No growing portfolio. No cool app screenshots. Just attacking debt. Credit card first. Then car loan. Then student loans. It feels slower. Less glamorous. Even old-fashioned. And from the outside, people may think, why would you ignore investing? Why miss those years? That's why so many people get pulled toward the investing first idea. Because it gives emotional rewards early. You feel like you are moving. You feel like your money is doing something. But early feelings and long-term outcomes are not always the same thing. Now let's talk about the problem. The second Elon is investing, yes. But at the same time, the credit card is charging 22% interest. That means one part of his financial life is trying to climb a hill while another part is sliding backward down the same hill. And the slide is steep. That's the part people love to skip. Because invest the difference sounds smart until you ask, what is the debt costing you while you do that? That credit card balance is not just sitting there politely. It is eating money every month. Guaranteed. The stock market might give 10% over long periods. Might. The credit card is charging 22%. Guaranteed. That's not a fair race. That's like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom and celebrating because the water level rose a little. Yes, the investing account grows. But part of that growth is being secretly cancelled by interest. And interest does not care how smart you feel. It just keeps feeding on delay. Now let's look at the first Elon. This person is not building a portfolio yet. That sounds bad on the surface. But look closer. Every extra dollar is going at the debt. That means the debt shrinks faster. The interest shrinks faster. The monthly pressure shrinks faster. And then eventually, something huge happens. The chain breaks. The last debt payment gets made. And suddenly, the entire cash flow changes. This is the moment most people underestimate. Because they focus only on the fact that the first Elon missed some years of investing. But they forget what happens after the debt is gone. Now that person has the original $600 extra, plus all the money that used to go toward debt payments. Now the money that was being swallowed by lenders becomes money that can finally belong to the future. And that jump is powerful. This is the part the debt-free path wins with. Not because it starts faster. Because once it gets free, it becomes very hard to stop. A debt payment is like carrying stones in a backpack. When the backpack finally comes off, you don't just walk. You move differently. Now let's fast forward 10 years. This is where the story gets uncomfortable for people who think the answer is obvious. The second Elon invested from day one. That sounds unbeatable. The first Elon didn't really start serious investing until after crushing debt. That sounds like a mistake. But when you run the full numbers, something surprising happens. The first Elon can end up ahead. Why? Two big reasons. First, he paid far less interest over the decade. That means thousands and thousands of dollars did not go to banks and card companies. They stayed in his financial life. Second, once he became debt-free, he could invest much more every month. Not just $600. Now maybe $1,200. Or $1,400. Or more, depending on the old minimum payments. So yes, he started later. But when he started with force. And force matters. That's the twist in this story. Sometimes a delayed investing plan can still win because it creates a much bigger investing engine later. That sounds backward. But the math isn't backward. It's just fuller than most people expect. Now we get to the most important part of the whole video. Everything I just said about the second Elon, the one investing through debt, assumes something huge. It assumes perfect behavior. It assumes this person invests the $600 every month. No excuses. No skipping. No panic. No touching the money. No selling when the market falls. No pausing because life got messy. No bad emotional reaction during a crash. In other words, it assumes this person behaves like a robot. But real people are not robots. Real people get scared. Real people see the market fall 25% and feel sick. Real people have emergencies. Real people miss months. Real people pull money out too soon. Real people say, "I'll invest again next month," and then 6 months disappear. That is the whole behavioral problem. The market can return 10%. The average person often gets much less because they don't stay inside the plan long enough or cleanly enough. That's why the debt-first strategy is stronger than it looks. Not because it is mathematically perfect. Because it is behaviorally durable. It protects you from yourself during the most dangerous part of the process. And that matters more than spreadsheet people like to admit. Now let's say this clearly. Dave Ramsey is often criticized because his advice is not always mathematically optimized. And that criticism is fair. But there is a deeper reason his approach works for many people. It works because it is built for humans, not calculators. His system assumes you might get emotional, you might need quick wins, you might need momentum, you might not stay calm during a crash, you might not behave like a perfect long-term investor. And that assumption is not insulting. It's realistic. That's why his plan works for so many people. Not because it wins every spreadsheet contest, but because it is easier to actually finish. And the best financial plan is not the one that looks smartest on paper. It's the one you will actually carry to the finish line. That is the point people miss. A better plan that you abandon is worse than a less perfect plan that you complete. Completion matters. Behavior matters. Reality matters. Here's the honest answer. If your employer offers a 401k match, take the match. That is free money. Don't leave it on the table. After that, the right move depends on your debt. If you have debt charging 7%, 8%, 15%, 22%, kill it. Especially credit card debt. That is not a harmless side issue. That is a financial parasite. If your debt is very low interest, like 4% or maybe 5%, then the argument for investing while carrying it gets much stronger. That's where the math really starts to favor long-term investing. But there's a gray zone in the middle. And in that zone, the answer is not only about interest rates. It's about you. Ask yourself, will I actually invest this money every month? Will I do it without fail? Will I leave it alone during crashes? Will I resist touching it for years? Will I behave the same way in real life that I behave in my fantasy spreadsheet? If the answer is not a strong, honest yes, then the debt-first path may be safer, stronger, and more realistic for you. And realistic is underrated. So let's go back to the beginning. Two people. Same debt. Same income. Same $600. One attacked the debt like the house was on fire. The other invested from day one and trusted the long game. At first, the investor looked smarter. By the end, the debt killer may have built the stronger position. Not because he was more sophisticated. Not because he was more mathematical. But because he paid less interest, freed more cash flow, and avoided the behavioral traps that destroy so many long-term plans. That is the deeper truth here. The real trap is not debt first. And the real trap is not investing through debt. The real trap is using someone else's rule without running your own numbers with your own rates, your own habits, and your own honest behavior. Because the best money strategy is not the one that wins the debate. It's the one that survives contact with your real life. If this changed how you think about debt and investing, subscribe. Because on this channel, we don't just repeat money advice. We test it against real life. And in the comments, answer this. If you had an extra $600 a month, would you honestly invest it every month, or would paying off debt first make you more likely to actually win?